Good evening, everyone. Glad you all made it here to our Stewardship in Motion. Looks like Meta or Facebook or something's having some issues that kind of kicked us off. But we're here, we're back, persisting. Glad you could join us. Welcome to another Wednesday Stewardship in Motion. So, if you're new to us here, every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we come to you with a stewardship message, talking financial literacy, financial management, how to be proper stewards of the resources God has entrusted us with. We had an amazing Q&A session last week, so hopefully that was helpful, impactful, and resonated with many of you. If you didn't see it or you weren't available at the time, the lives are always available on YouTube. So just pop on over to YouTube, go to our page, tap the live tab on the top, and you'll see all of our stewardship emotions. And we always release little vignettes, reels of the key points that happen throughout the live. So if you haven't, there were some great questions from social media, from all the people on the live about how to get started, what should I do in their unique situation. So some of that may resonate with you. Many of you, you may be in the similar position that some of those viewers were in, but we're glad you're here tonight. We are going to cover another topic. So we're gonna we've been doing some enhancements, some refining, trying to make this really valuable for all of you. So hopefully you will enjoy the way we deploy this one tonight. I'll still stick to my scripture. I'll still have a main message I'm trying to convey to you, but we're trying to get this into relevant topics and points that we come across in the news media and articles. So hopefully this will help you. This is a really powerful scenario, real life scenario we're going to unpack tonight. So our topic tonight, so we'll pull up our cover deck here. You may have saw it as you were joining. So why are you making money or making more money, but still feeling like you're stuck? So that's going to be our topic for tonight. So let's get right into it. This is very interesting. So have you ever gotten a raise, bonus, some extra income, and a short time later, could be 6 months, some of us 6 days, you look back and you ask yourself, like, where did that money go? So if you've ever experienced that, go ahead, jump in the chat right now and type me in the chat if you've ever gotten any sum of money, whether it was regular, extra income, I don't know, you played a scratcher, got a few $100, and then you're like, man, I had that extra money, but where is it now? It could have even been your paycheck. So you're not alone. So engage us. Go ahead, drop in a chat. Give me an I, a me, a thumbs up if you've ever been in that situation before. So that's what we're going to look at tonight. So the scripture we're going to look at is actually a pretty powerful one. This is one of the core ones I tend to teach from. There's probably 10 or 12 scriptures in the Bible that give us warnings, engagement, direction on how we should manage our resources. So it's found in Haggai, the first chapter, 6th verse. So you don't have to go far. I know it's a small book in the Bible, but we're going to look at this. And the scripture says, you earn wages. Sorry about that. I'm trying to get my screens aligned here, having some technical difficulties. You earn wages only to put them in a purse with holes in it. And this is fascinating to me because this scripture is about 2,500 years old, yet it describes many of our households and what we're experiencing today. Because we make money. Income is not a significant problem for a lot of people in the US. It's really how we manage it in this consumer-based society economy. So this is powerful. You earn wages only to put them in a purse with a hole in it. So that graphic is pretty powerful there as well. So how do we translate this for today? So that bucket symbolizes our financial life, that bucket you see on the screen. So you don't have an income problem, you have a leak problem. Your income doesn't solve stewardship problems. If you don't have a system, your money will be leaking out in various areas. And you've probably experienced this before. Like I said earlier, if you've ever had any sum of money, whether it's your regular income, any sort of bonus, any surplus of money, you've probably thought to yourself, or probably had a situation where you lost track of those dollars. So, what I want to do, I was online reading some articles as I usually do. I try to consume, whether financial, business, investing, I try to consume content around that daily. And I came across this actually today, and it made me kind of reframe and rejuggle what I was going to present to you today. So let's take a look at it. You may not know this individual. He's a basketball player, and we see this a lot with athletes, right? Athletes make millions of dollars. And some of us we're bothered by that. People bounce a ball or hit a ball or whatever, and they make $50 million in a year. How do we justify that, right? And then there's teachers in America that make between $50,000 and $100,000 a year, and they're responsible for educating our future. So I don't want to jump into the ethics and all of that about it, but I want to use this person as an example, an extreme example, albeit, but then relate it to what happens to us in our lifetime. So there's this gentleman, he at one time, oops, my slides are a little bit out of order here. I got my core problem. So let me reverse back. Let me hit the core problem for you here. So we talked about this. It might be a raise. It might be all these different things that you have, a bonus, promotion. Let's just call it an increase of whatever kind. And we often think to ourselves before we get these raises, if I can just make more money, everything will be cool. That's usually our philosophy, right? Particularly if you come from humble means, you don't come from a wealthy household or background. We often think, man, if I just had more money, if I just made more, if my salary was higher, it'd be all good. I won't have the issues, the challenges I have now. I'd be able to invest. I'd have money for retirement. I have money to leave to my kids. That's what we often think. But then when we take a full introspective look at our life, we will find something different. We'll find our behaviors are really the result why we don't have this surplus, why we're not living abundant, why we don't have extra money to invest and support the initiatives, ministries, people, all those things that are important to us and resonate with us. So this slide kind of talks a little bit about what you may experience there. So I want to now bring this subject into view. So this gentleman here, his name is J.R. Smith. He's a retired basketball player. If you were a fan of the New York Knicks or the Cleveland Cavaliers or a few other teams he's been on, he's recognizable to you. So this gentleman played many years in the NBA. He's a two-time NBA champion. So he was successful career as an athlete. And we see something very stark here. The first thing that pops out in this interview, so this is an interview that J.R. Smith was doing. This article is from the MoneyWise, moneywise.com, and they were basically summarizing this interview. And the first thing that popped out to me was his quote. The first thing that comes to mind is right here in this quote is how much money I wasted. Now, this is a person that made tens of millions of dollars. And now that he's retired, he's since gone back to school. I think he's actually playing golf for his university where he returned to. And I think he's studying real estate. In the article I did read that he said he's educated himself around real estate. And then I saw him on another podcast as I was kind of doing some back study for this for you. And he said he's studying real estate now. And he said, I wish I didn't learn this at 40. So that's a point for us. We all need to educate ourselves as early as possible. But think about this for a second. This isn't a person who struggled to make ends meet. Like I said, this is a two-time champion who earned tens of millions of dollars. And he is looking back over his life saying, hey, the number one thing that sticks out over my earning years, I talk about this in other Stewardship in Motion sessions. Your earning years are your summer season of your life. That's when your income is coming in, your spring and your summer. There's growth, there's abundance, there's all of those. But we all have a fall and we all have a winter season where the income doesn't flow in as quickly, or you're in the back half of your life after your career, and now you have to live on that hay that you stacked in the summer. So he's now at that point retired, albeit he's a young man, and he's realizing how much money he wasted. And there's a discussion point. I want you to just read that on the bottom there and engage with me in the chat as I kind of converse with you about this. Go ahead and put in the chat the answer to that question there. Have you ever wondered as well about purchases you've made? But let's look at what J.R. Smith said his regret was. What is it exactly he's talking about, the money he wasted? And these are direct quotes from the article, and also he summarized them in another podcast that I saw. So this graphic talks about it. He said, I had 7 cars at one time. 7 cars, not 1, not 2, not 3, 7 luxury cars. And so he talks about luxury cars, luxury clothes, the luxury lifestyle. And we all pursue it. We all have sort of a want to live that extravagant luxury lifestyle. Now, this is a gentleman who made tens of millions of dollars, and you would think in your mind, yeah, he can afford that luxury lifestyle. But here's his testimony and what he learned from the luxury lifestyle. And right here, he gives it to you. He says, let me try to make these slides bigger here. Sorry, I'm struggling with my screens tonight. He had the 7 cars. So I want you to think about this. What is something you've purchased that seemed important at the time, but you rarely use today? That was one of the big quotes. He was like, the clothes, I don't wear those anymore. He's like, I only wear golf clothes now. I don't even wear all the Louis Vuitton and all the luxury stuff that he had. And that was his regret, because he's no longer utilizing the things that when he was a player, when he was a celebrity, that image he was trying to portray was really important to him. So he spent a lot of money, millions of dollars, trying to portray that image. But now he's in this season of life where it isn't as important. He's educating himself. He's looking to be an investor. So he's back in school, and he realizes, wow, that was stuff that I didn't need. That was stuff that didn't help my future. That was stuff that wasn't aligned with my current goals. So right here on the right side of this slide, you see this. I ask this question all the time. It's not about if you can afford it. The question is, will this improve your life? The quality of your life? Is it in line with your goals? And will it help you to achieve ultimately your financial goals for yourself and your family? So the thing about it, and I talk about this all the time, it's not the income, it's our lifestyle creep. Again, I talk about this principle all the time. You can Google it. It's called the Parkinson's principle, that says your expenses will always increase in direct proportion to your income. So that's what happens. We say we need to make more money, but then we make more money, and all of a sudden our lifestyle, our expenses just balloon at the same percentage that they were consuming of our overall money. Why does this happen? Because we don't have a plan. And so I have created a framework. I want you to kind of think about this as this is what's happening to you when you are earning. but you're not paying attention. So for JR, it was the 7 cars, it was luxury watches, it was designer clothes. And then his retirement happened and his perspective changed. And then he made those comments about half the stuff that I bought, I didn't really need. So how many of us don't have 7 cars, but we have our version of the 7 cars? It may be the subscriptions, Amazon, DoorDash, the clothes, the TV subscriptions, which I don't understand why every single network has their own subscription. And ultimately, it's the impulse spending because we don't have a plan. Emotionally, we feel a certain way on payday. And then we're out in the world, we're on social media, and we get these images and glimpses of what we think is a better lifestyle or something that we need to experience. And because we don't have a plan, we just say, I want that, I need it. You guys have heard me say this before. I work hard, I deserve it. That's always the number one thing that I've heard people say. So lifestyle inflation is real. And another statistic with this is like when you look at athletes, 60% of them within 5 years, it doesn't matter how many tens of millions, hundreds of $1,000,000 they've made, within 5 to 6 years, most of them are in financial distress. Why? Because they also don't have a system. Many of them weren't taught how to manage their money. So again, they're just living on impulses. They're living on emotions. And so we see it right here in this slide. So I want you to ask yourself, what's something you've purchased? Like I said, it seemed important at the time, but now you can go back and look in the closet. You know, it could be tech. It might be something you stashed somewhere in your garage, maybe not a car, but something else that you bought. It may be under the sink in your kitchen. There's all kinds of gadgets and different things that we're prompted that we just need that will make our life so much easier and convenient. And then we buy it and we never use it again. So these are the things that will affect our stewardship. It will affect our financial life in a really extreme way. So remember, the problem is our system. The problem is our mindset. Those are the things we need to address first. So what do you call it? I call it the leaky bucket framework. That's essentially what it is. Our bucket is being filled, but there's holes. And so the resources are just leaking out of those holes. So like it says right here, your problem isn't that you're earning too little. The problem is that it's all leaking out. And so what I'm going to do tonight is share with you a framework that you can, a very simple framework. And it's really the foundation of our weekly meeting. But this simple framework will help you to understand and rethink about how you manage your finances when they come in. Let's take a look here. So step one, if you've got leaks in your bucket, the very first thing you need to do is find those holes. And in order to find those holes, you have to track where your money's going. You have to be able to track your spending. So I often will tell clients, I've taught this in large groups as well, try a week or 30 days of just collecting receipts. Because many of us, we don't deal in cash or we have credit cards. They're very easy to just use. I say 100% of your receipts, whether you're at the grocery store or restaurant, no matter where you are, get the receipt, keep the receipts, keep it in a little folder in your car or stick it in your wallet. I just fold them up and I have a little flap on my wallet like a money holder and I put them under there. And then at the end of the week, I want you to go in and take a look at all of those receipts and begin to tally them. And just take a look at where your money is going. Just take a look at where your money is going. And I think it will be an eye-opener. It will be an awakening for many people because then they'll see the behaviors behind the spending. So the transactions will usually show you those behaviors, and then you can trace that back to how you were feeling, what was happening that day. Did you plan your day properly? All those things. And then you just reverse engineer the solution to avoid putting yourself in those environments. right? So you need to be intentional about reviewing where your spending is. You could also accomplish this by going over your credit card or your bank statements. You need to get clarity on it. And then here's the part that we often avoid. We see it, and then avoidance kicks in, and we kick it off to the side, and we don't actually create a plan to deal with it. So then you need to take control by enacting a plan. Uh, that's the first part of this framework. The second thing you need to do is now begin to plug the leaks. So for JR, it was the luxury, right? And it was the things that he thought he needed to maintain, acquire, to project that image that he wanted the world to see. But for us, it's slightly different. So I'll just take a step back for a second as we look at the tracking piece. If you cannot fix, you can't fix it if you don't take a look at it, if you don't measure it. And most people know their checking account balance, but very few people know what the last few transactions were that came out of their checking. So again, the challenge of this is, I'm going to challenge you, either you do it for 5 days or 30 days, start collecting the receipts, or on a weekly basis, go back through your credit card and your bank account statement and begin to observe those behaviors. And then that will be the answer for where your money is. The leaks for us may not be 7 cars. They may be something very small, right? The $12 subscription, the $18 lunch, that $9 app that you saw that was kind of cool, right? The $42 meal delivery. It's the dreaded Amazon Prime Day week. I don't understand that, how it's a day, but it's multiple days, or whatever they're doing. I see all the messages, right? So those things are the small holes that we're creating that is creating the leaks in our bucket. And those are the things we need to observe. And those are the things we need to create a plan around. So I mentioned them all. And then, of course, most of these things, the subscriptions and all those things, are usually tied to impulses or conveniences. So that's where we have to check ourselves. The small leaks are the ones that will sink a ship. It's always the small leaks. If it was a big gaping hole, it would have your attention and you would do something to fix it. But it's these small leaks that appear in our financial life. It's a trial that you start and you don't go back and you cancel the trial. And then these subscriptions begin to mount up on us. All right, let's take a look at the third step. It is directing the flow now. So now this is where stewardship becomes really intentional. Every dollar has to receive an assignment before it arrives in your account. That's really what the difference is. And that's why I always teach people to create a spending plan first before we really dial into spreadsheets and tracking and all of the monthly meeting stuff. The plan is always first. Because if you don't have a plan, if you don't have exact prorations, I like to use percentages for the 7 areas of our life. That's why I created the 7 account system. Then you won't have a plan for where the money should be going. There's no directional flow for your money. It's all going into one checking account. You have the bills all coming out of there. You got auto pays, you got subscriptions, you have you and your impulses out in the world. And then that's why you wake up and your checking account balance is not what you thought it was. That's why you get overdrafts and finance charges and all the different things that are byproducts really of the behavior. So the rhythm is, you want to track where it's been going, create a plan, and then constantly review. And that is our weekly meeting system that we teach. And there's templates and tools that we teach inside the academy that can help all of you out, because money behaves differently when someone is actually leading it. If you're just allowing it to go wherever your impulses and your emotions are taking it, it will end up in undesired and unplanned destinations. But If you have a plan and you begin to lead your money in the direction, you can then predict your outcomes, and then you can build margin, and then you can now begin to set goals, investment goals, income goals. You can set all those things because you know your numbers. So let's just review very quickly those 3 quick steps. First, you got to find the leaks. Go in your account. There's a lot of different apps out there. I'm not getting any putting out any free advertising for any of them, but if you want to come in the community, send me a direct message and I'll see what your situation is, and then direct you to one that probably best fits your situation. But there's all kinds of apps out there that will show you hidden subscriptions, show you things that are hitting your account that you may have thought you canceled or got rid of, or duplicates of those subscriptions. That's another big thing. So you want to be able to find all those, because those are all the holes that are leaking out your resources. 2, you want to begin to plug those holes, cancel subscriptions, then create plans and parameters, percentages for each category of your life. What are you going to spend on lifestyle? How much are you going to save? How much are you going to give? How much you're going to put away to maintain the assets and the different things that you have, your car, your health, those sorts of things. How much percentage of your income is going towards your investment? So you have your money is going into the future and being able to provide for you beyond your working years. So those are some of the categories that we teach. We have percentages, we have frameworks and templates that you can engage with and actually get it dialed into your specific situation, depending on how much debt you have, depending on your income and your goals overall. So I hope this was super helpful. I know I've been saying a lot. Jump in the chat if you have any questions about what I talked about, and I'll be sure to respond to those queries. So just to cap this off, we usually go for about 30 minutes, and we're right there at that time. So I just want to say now is the time to take control. There's an old saying in investing: yesterday was the best time to invest, but the next best time is today, right? So just to take us back to the scripture and Haggai, those people weren't lazy. They were working, they were earning, yet nothing was remaining. And that's very common in our current day. The blessing wasn't more income for many of them. The lesson is learned in how to steward what God has already entrusted to you. That's where the blessing actually lies, is in learning how to steward what you have, and then you'll begin to see the abundance in what you actually have, and then you'll be able to exercise some gratitude for what you have, and then that will help you retract this sense of wanting, the sense of yearning that you have to live bigger, to get more, acquire more, project the image of wealth. That is how you will be able to combat those emotions by really getting a handle on what you have and being grateful for it, and then being able to manage it in a responsible way and direct it to the areas of significance in your life. So if this was helpful for you, just go ahead and drop "I'm ready" in the chat. We'll send you a link where you can get a copy of our spending template that we teach. We'll send you a link to where you can get the lesson as well too. Actually walk you through how to create your spending plan. What are some of the ideal percentages? Of course, those are ideals. When you look at the percentages, you want to adjust those to where you are in your particular financial journey, and then where your goals and your income currently is. So thank you for coming and spending another half hour on me on a I can't speak tonight. Thank you for spending another half hour with me on a Wednesday night. I appreciate you all. Again, if we can serve you, go ahead and comment "I'm ready." We'll look at all those comments and send you links to where you can get some resources that you can begin to implement just one thing at a time. So maybe it's just building out a spending plan first, and then just looking at your numbers where you're spending money right now, and then we can talk about how you implement a corrective plan to get you aligned and meet some of your goals that you have for 2026. So thank you again. I appreciate you. And as always, stop scrolling and go mind your business. Thanks for joining us at the MOB Academy. Now stop scrolling and go mind your business.